Yeah, first I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for this opportunity, to play on this great Sunday after a bye week, against a really good Miami team. And, Sting is one of a kind, bro. His ball skills and how he can play the ball in the air is the best I've ever seen in my life. Like I would compare him to Garrett Wilson, who I played with in college, who can just track the ball in any way and then twerk his body to get to catch it. So he reminds me of him catching the ball. And honestly, I'm trying to get him a play on offense one of these days. I think he's that good with the ball in his hands. So, I'm really happy for him and, just proud of him and everything he's doing.
Has he lobbied to play receiver or anything like that with your coaches?
He don't really talk much. So, I know I always joke with him, but he don't really say. He just kind of like, he don't say nothing. Not too many words out of Sting, but yeah.
CJ, obviously, you knew that this season was going to be tougher because you were playing a first place schedule. And of course, a whole lot more tape on you. But you're sitting here now at 9-5. The Colts lose the late afternoon game for the second year in a row. You wrap up the AFC South. How good of a feeling is that, and how do you feel about where this team's sitting right now?
Yeah, we're at where we're at. I think we work really hard to get to this point. The one thing that I'm learning is not to dwell in the past, and to, of course we wish that, we won some closer games that we were in, but same time, those are the adversities that'll take us over the hump, and I feel like, today we took another step, to play for the division. This early, in December is kind of cool, and I have to wait to the very back end. So, yeah, man, I really, of course want to win the division today, but if not, we go back next week and we chop some more wood and carry some more water.
CJ, I know probably like point of emphasis might have been like making sure you walk the offense catches in on turnovers. You all did that largely today. How important did you feel like that was, and what did you feel like was key to being able to do that a lot better today?
Yeah, that was a focus of mine. That we have to learn how to score touchdowns off of turnovers, but more importantly, just points in general, just getting points, and we're able to do that. I think on every turnover, even the fake that we ran on fourth down, which I thought was a great call by Frank. Shout out to Frank and them boys and Weeksy on the great snap. But it's complimentary football. Our defense getting turnovers like that and be able to reward them. And I feel like we definitely could have been better in a lot of ways, but happy with the win and got to just move on.
You've been without Stephon for some time now. When you kind of think back and reflect, what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys have faced without Stephon, and how are you trying to handle those?
Really just his energy is the main thing that pops out to me. Just who he is as a person, how much he loves the game, his preparation. Those are things that we all miss of him. And I talk to him every week and try to just encourage him. 'Cause that's not an easy thing to go through. But he's in good spirits. He's rooting us on. And I have so much love for that dude, man. And I know hopefully I can play with him again because I think we were just getting started. And I'm just really, 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 really just proud of him and how he's growing just in his faith and and just who he is maturing just as a man. And sometimes those valleys do that to you, and I'm just proud of him to be able to respond like he is.
Well, CJ, of course, now you're on a short week. Saturday, you go to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. 13-1 is their record, but as we all know, they've had really, really close games. You've got to have a really good feeling about the possibility of going up there and grabbing a W away from them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of respect for those guys. Back-to-back champs. And Mahomes is definitely the best in the league, doing it at a very, very high level every year. Somebody that I look up to, and just excited to go and line up against them and have opportunity to play in an environment like that. I heard it's crazy, so I'm excited for it. But it's not ever going to be a cakewalk. That dude is really good. Kelsey, somebody I really respect. Their defense is very, I would say, underrated. They've kept them in a lot of games and won a lot of games for them and helped them, get turnovers and keep the offense to I think like under 20 points, I believe. But it's a lot of respect for them and excited for that challenge.
CJ, how do you feel like y'all handled the switch with having Titus at left guard and then elevating Blake to right tackle as far as communication went?
Yeah, I thought it went great. I thought with Titus not really practicing there all week, he stepped in and did as best as he could, and I thought he did really great. I thought that was one of the best interior D lines that we played this year. I think 92 is very underrated. You know, he's a dog, and you know, Calais is, you know, like the Terminator. He's huge. He's like 6'7", and you know, and he's putting his hands up. He's really good. So you know, that interior does a really good job, and their D-line coach, you know, hats off to him. They do a good job of pick stunting and things like that. But I mean, when the time was there, you know, I feel like they did a great job picking those up, and I was able to deliver in those instances. But you know, I definitely think that they did a great job, and for Blake to step in like as a young guy is amazing.